you sitting comfortably?
Good afternoon. It's 12 p.m.-ish on a Saturday afternoon on East London Radio, and you know what that means, don't you, Scott?
I do. It means I'm here.
It means you're here, it
And
means I'm
out
here, it
of
means
bed.
we're having several jugs of tea ready for an hour's worth of movie talk and movie reviews and movie soundtrack music, etc., etc. This is. Have I already said? Is this? Are you sitting comfortably? Are you sitting comfortably? Are you sitting comfortably?
I am sitting comfortably.
Well,
yes, thank you.
It's lovely.
But I wasn't
I'm
listening to what you said. Sorry.
Well.
I was looking at Twitter. That's what everyone else is for. We do the talking, they do the listening.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm
Good.
I'm nearing the bottom of my first pot of tea, but I've got my second one right here, ready to go. So I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm equipped with half of coffee that you started, and
It was very
couldn't
nice,
bear
and
to
I'm
finish.
glad you're going to enjoy it. I've just noticed.
Yes. What have you noticed?
I've just noticed your neck. What's
What about
going
my
on
neck?
there?
No, this is not good radio, is it? This is a very visual thing you're discussing. It's a souvenir.
Oh.
That's all I'll say.
Good Lord.
Yes. So today we're talking about. We'll be talking about Crimson Peak. The initial 15 seconds of this show should have been a clue there, but that music was Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Red Right Hand.
Yeah.
It's not from the movie.
No. I was wondering about this.
Well, let me just read you a little bit here, an extract from bustle.com. Unfortunately, no official soundtrack to Crimson Peak has been released. Even worse, no plans for the release of a soundtrack down the road have been announced.
Well, bugger.
However, there is hope. Del Toro has created a Spotify playlist for musical inspiration for Crimson Peak, with songs ranging from Red Right Hand and so on and so forth. You can find that on Spotify.
Wow.
And we'll be playing one other song that has inspired Del Toro for Crimson Peak. But we'll get on to Crimson Peak because there's some things to talk about before we...
Are you not saying his first name because you don't know how to pronounce it? Again.
Very well done. Very well noticed.
We'll come on to that later as well. I'll help you.
Give it a whirl now.
Guillermo.
Okay, and I'll have a go at that later on as well. But first, Star Wars. Yes.
Yeah.
The 7th in the franchise has a new trailer.
Well,
Actually, it's not the 7th, is it? Because there's been so much Star Wars stuff.
A lot of it
since
they've
this.
killed off, though. A lot of the kind of
Well,
extended
good.
universe and stuff outside of the main canon has been killed off in preparation for the 7th installment.
I was in Argos the other day.
Good Lord, why?
And, well, quite. I promised I'd never go in Argos ever since they couldn't sell me an ironing board. In a what was the word I'm looking for?
I have no idea.
When
honestly don't know.
When you're quite capable of something, you are
competent.
Yes, they couldn't sell me an ironing board in a competent way.
Right.
But that's a long story. I suffered extremely bad customer service. But anyway, I found myself in Argos again, and I saw lots of Star Wars merchandise, stacks of the stuff, just cheap, tacky, awful toys, you know. And I thought, very lucky are the Star Wars fans, because growing up, I never had any Farscape figurines or Farscape guns or Farscape this, that, or the other. They did exist, but they were incredibly collectible because there were so few of them. And a lot of them were genuine props. Like, the only way to get hold of a pulse rifle from Farscape was to buy one for hundreds of pounds that was used on the show.
Was that because so few people watched it that it wasn't worth making toys? And you just had to literally steal things from the set?
No, I think it's because actually Farscape's main focus was its character arcs and fantastic story,
Right.
and it didn't concern itself with releasing pointless, tacky, cheap merchandise.
And no one's and did anyone ask while watching Farscape why all of the aliens, whatever planet they were from, had an Australian accent?
No, but then you could say the same for all the Americans in Star Wars and in Star Trek and all the other science fiction shows that people watch when they should rather be watching something far more entertaining, such as Farscape.
Oh, wow.
What did we make of the new trailer?
I liked it. There was lots to take in. Bit of Han, bit of Leia. That was nice.
A bit of hand?
Bit of Han.
Oh,
as in Han Solo.
Oh, a bit of Han.
As in Harrison Ford was in
yes.
there.
But do you think that they're doing a what's his face from Star Trek with the pointy ears?
You mean Spock?
Spock. Yes. Do you think they're doing a Spock?
And just having him in for a few minutes to kind of help the plot along.
To help, yes, convince people that this is still Star Wars.
I don't know. I really hope not, because for me, Han and Leia and Luke are the core of the Star Wars universe. So I'm really hoping that they have actual pivotal points to play. And as well...
Luke really should do, after everything he went through.
It depends on what the plot is. I mean, he only got like the briefest moment. Did you spot him in the trailer?
No. I'm not enough of a. I wouldn't know what he looks like now. He's old.
You can't see most of him. All you see is a robed figure putting a hand on R2-D2, and it's a robot hand. So my guess is that is Luke. And that's the only glance of him you get in the trailer. Presumably, they have some big reveal to do about that when the thing comes along. Although my other worry, apart from Han and Leia just kind of popping in, waving at the camera, and running away again, is that Han is going to say at some point, "I'm getting too old for this." Because
there'll be loads of that. Of course there will. They're going to do a Jurassic World, aren't they? They're going to find a bunker full of old Star Wars merchandise and go, "Oh wow, this brings back memories," for a good 15 minutes.
I've heard that sounds awful. I've heard a very weird.
Well, they've already got Darth Vader's mask in it.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I think it's Kylo Ren, the new kind of bad guy, the masked guy with the sword with the sticky
Why do they all need masks, and why do they all need heavy breathing voices?
Well, I've heard a very bizarre theory on the internet that the masked bad guy in this one, at the end, is going to remove his mask and be revealed as Jar Jar Binks.
Oh well, that would be amazing.
Which would be really great when he finally does get Jedi'd to death.
But whatever happened to Jar Jar Binks? I don't know.
He died.
No,
he died and he stayed dead and he's never coming back.
No, but what actually happened to Jar Jar Binks? I can't remember.
He lived to the end of the third prequel, so I don't know. He
could come back then, or one of his species could.
He could. I hope they don't, but yeah, he definitely could if they wanted to.
Who thought Jar Jar was a good idea?
The merchandising people. Do you know why there's so much merchandising around Star Wars, more than any other franchise?
Go on.
It's because when they made the original series, the studios didn't think it was going to do very well. So part of the negotiations, George Lucas was able to secure all of the profit from the merchandising was to come to him rather than share it with the studio, as would normally be the case.
Wow.
And so he owns all the rights to all of the merchandise in perpetuity for the Star Wars franchise. So he's churning it out and just rolling in money.
But would you say it's... it was originally sort of a kid-friendly series? Or do you think now it's being steered in that direction?
I think it's becoming more family-friendly, certainly. I mean, Leia is a bit of a sex slave, and the whole incestuous kiss and like throttling Jabba the Hutt to death, and
but you see,
Luke getting his hand chopped off, all that kind of thing. It's not very...
There's a lot more of that flavour in Farscape because they don't feel the need to gear it towards children. And if they were making lots of toys, tacky toys, and selling them in Argos, they probably would have a requirement to gear it more towards kids.
Well, quite possibly. I see what you've done there as well. You just shoehorning it in at every opportunity, aren't you?
And speaking of darkness, we're going to talk about something new on Netflix immediately after. How about some John Williams? People have said on the internet that if J.J. Abrams spoils Star Wars, he will be forever known as Jar Jar Abrams.
As he should be. As he should be.
So we're changing the topic from Star Wars to just war.
Yes. Wars. Yes.
And you're going to give us now 30 seconds worth of what happens in...
Beasts of No Nation, a new Netflix-produced movie. It's the first one.
It's the first movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's the first movie that Netflix have done on their own, so I thought we should definitely have a chat about it, since, DVDs, cinema, and now Netflix as its own production, as well as hosting everyone else's stuff as well. I thought it was time to give it some legitimacy.
Feels like we're living in the future.
Yeah, we are, aren't we? Oh, speaking of...
30 seconds worth of Beasts of No Men?
Yes.
Beasts No Man... Beast...
What?
What was it?
Beasts of No Nation.
Beasts of No Nation.
I think so.
Here it comes!
I need to check now. Oh, right. So, in Africa, on the Nigerian border, there's a little happy town full of kids, including one kid who the movie focuses on, and he's happy and jolly, and everything's going well for about 20 minutes in the movie, and then you know that everything's going to go horribly, horribly wrong and dark, and it does, and the rebels invade, and he ends up getting drafted into one of the armies, and he's a child soldier, and he's fighting, and Idris Elba is his commander, and it gets darker and darker and horrible and worse. And just as you think, blimey, this film is as bad as it could possibly get, it gets 12 worse.
12 worse?
12 whole things worse.
It really sounds like the kind of movie that I would like to watch. Because I like things that get awful.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't say I enjoyed watching it, but I'm glad I watched it. It's quite difficult to watch at points, but it is really good, and it's beautifully done. It looks lovely all the way through. It's like
who's the director? Do we know?
Not off the top of my head. He wasn't one I recognised.
All right, let me have a look at this. Beasts of No Nation.
Yeah, on the Netflix. But yeah, Idris Elba plays the kind of commander of his little platoon very well.
Okay, that is a name I can't pronounce. So
Idris Elba?
No.
Oh, the director.
The director, yes.
Okay.
I'm just going to call him Carrie.
All right.
Because that's his first name.
Right. So it's not Sex and the City. It's not
No. But it'd be interesting to see what he's done before, which I'm going to do just now.
All right, then. Well, you do that while I talk a little bit more about the movie.
Jane Eyre.
Oh. Really?
No. Yes.
What?
Yes.
What?
Director of Jane Eyre. Director of True Detective. Maybe that explains why it looks so pretty.
Well, that, and, he's got a massive Netflix budget to be going on with, so, but no, and it's all about the kind of the effects of war and how child soldiers are kind of created, but it's not in any way preachy. It's just this poor lad whose life just spirals.
It's a pretty unique perspective.
Yeah.
For a movie. Well, I'm sure it's been done before, but I mean, it's not something you see at all often, is it? I presume this is from the child's perspective.
Yeah, it's
more than Idris's.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's all about the child, and you follow him. It's just that Idris's character has a very large influence on his life as the commander of his platoon and stuff. He kind of grooms him as his successor for a while, I think, as well.
Do you think that we're going to see more movies like this on Netflix in the future?
I hope so. But
did you not miss the feeling of being in the cinema, chucking popcorn in your face?
Well, handily,
and having some man on the phone.
Oh, here we go. Yeah,
so I'll get to that.
Yeah,
later.
Okay. Deep breaths. It's all right. He's gone now. He's dead now.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
I saw to that.
Rude. But yeah, I think so. I found it. To be honest, it was handy because I had stuff to do. So I was watching the film and I had my laptop on my knee. So I was kind of fiddling about and doing things.
You were watching the phone. You were watching the film. Where?
At home.
On your TV?
Yes.
And you had the laptop?
I had my laptop on my knee.
See, this is the problem I have with things now. Nobody can just stop and watch a movie.
Well, I can and I do. Like, we go to the cinema together every week. So we go to Cineworld and make use of our unlimited cards.
But the more Netflix takes over, the less this is going to happen. And, anybody watching X Factor these days will tell you that they're always on their phone tweeting while they do it.
Because X Factor is devoid of any interest or inspiration whatsoever. It's essentially intellectual sewage that you're pouring into your brain.
I can agree. But
Excellent.
When you're at home on a Saturday night with the family, you're meant to just all gather around the television and watch, aren't you? You're not supposed to all just...
No. Why would you gather around the television and watch? What kind of a family does that?
Well, that's all we did on Saturday nights.
Did you not talk to each other or play board games?
Of course, but you can't talk to each other if you're tweeting as well. It's just a relationship between you and these other two devices. It doesn't matter who else is in the room. You can't point at the screen and go, oh, well, that man, he can't sing, ha, ha, ha. Instead, you're telling all your Twitter friends.
Well, I wasn't doing that. I was sorting out some backups of the show and my old photos and stuff rather than anything else.
Carry on.
But I see your point, and I do enjoy switching everything off and enjoying a movie. Like whenever we go out to the movies, I always make sure that you've turned your phone off. And
me of all people.
Yes, you.
I'm the first to moan if there's anybody on their
really
phone.
Are. As you were.
Rhyming.
Yeah. I also enjoy the convenience of Netflix where I can, if I need, I got up and went for a wee, put the kettle on and made another cup of tea to replenish the liquids I'd just lost. I could pause the Netflix and do that and grab myself a sandwich or something.
You should just wee straight into the tea. teapot to
into the
save
teapot.
yourself the time.
Well, I'm tempted. My housemate was in and out, and that was a bit awkward. But yeah, and so yeah, I enjoy the convenience, and it does. And this is the thing: it's like people's attention spans are shorter because we're always fiddling with phones and stuff. And I make a point of wherever possible, not dual screening, unless it's something that is enhanced by dual screening, such as the X Factor, where you can be not so much X Factor, but that is the big one because working in social media as I do, well, pretending to work in social media as I do, stuff like that is always the big one. If you can get people, if you can jump on those conversations, then you're doing really well. It's where all the conversations around, like Doctor Who's another good one. Doctor Who fans, they geek out, and I don't like it. I like to watch it.
Just enjoy it for what it is, which is usually bloody
crap.
awful.
Yeah,
but
it's gone downhill, certainly.
But no, I agree with you with the social... with the reality TV social media. For instance, The Apprentice is another good one as well.
Yes.
Or even Question Time. You've got a lot of good opinions rolling about on Twitter there. But I still think that if you're in a room with people, it's far healthier for the human psyche to be having that discussion with them.
Oh, certainly. And I was talking to my housemate about the movie. Let's pull this back towards Beast in the Nation. We were discussing it as well. For example, we were talking about accents and stuff. He's Spanish, and he couldn't quite get his head around the accent that everyone had. The kind of because everyone was speaking English, but with a kind of Nigerian accent, and he was like, I thought they spoke French in that part of Africa. I'm surprised that they're not speaking with more of a French accent." And I went, "I don't know, never been." So yeah, we were discussing it as we were going along, which was nice. Where were we?
It's a hell of a discussion, that one.
Yeah. Well, there was more than that. That's just the bit that I can remember off the top of my head. Hello, Alex, if you're listening. He does listen, actually. He likes to. He likes
good.
To listen
Hello,
to
Alex.
He likes to listen on the way to work.
Should we speak in a French accent to satisfy his needs?
Well, he's Spanish, so he probably. I don't think he would like it if you tried a Spanish accent because you struggle anyway.
What, a Spanish accent? No, I can't.
No,
I can't off the top of my head. I can do
let's not.
Scottish. That's about all I can do.
No, it'll be offensive. Whichever one you
I'm
choose.
a Scottish man speaking Scottish on the radio.
Okay.
I should have saved that for the Macbeth episode.
Oh, yeah. Such an opportunity missed, never to come again.
If you'd like to listen to our back catalogue of episodes, you can go to mixcloud.com/Rubox, and we're also on iTunes, where you can listen to the Macbeth episode.
To all of them. Well,
Yes.
to all of the ones that involve me, at least. Ha ha. Just search "Are You Sitting Comfortably" in iTunes. So yeah, just to sum up on the movie.
Yes.
Really good. Uncomfortable viewing at times. Worth a watch. Gorgeous to look at. And the young lad playing the part is brilliant. Idris Elba's always good, so yeah.
So a good child actor is always important, because a bad child actor can ruin it for everyone.
Macaulay Culkin. That's all I need to say about bad child actors. No, this lad's really, really good. And yeah, it's on Netflix now. Watch it.
Yes, and don't watch it on your phone on the train.
No.
My gentleman friend.
Don't watch it if you're hungover or feeling particularly down, because by crikey, it'll make you 10 times worse. Yeah. So anyway, about your gentleman friend.
My gentleman friend he watched pretty much the whole of Breaking Bad on his phone on the train to work.
That's a bloody long commute. Where was he coming from?
Day by day.
Oh, right, okay.
And I think, I mean, obviously it worked for him, and that's fine. But I think that's some kind of blasphemy or something. You have to be in a darkened room and
in a darkened state of mind.
Yes, and you have to watch it on a big screen if possible, and really, really listen and take in everything that's being said. Because Breaking Bad is a very detailed show. Things come back that you may have forgotten, and I imagine that if some woman at the time was barging past you with her handbag at a vital moment in the plot, that it arcs back around later in 2 seasons' time, you're not going to remember that. You're just going to remember the handbag.
No, well, quite. And I think as well, Breaking Bad especially, things in that also just go from bad to worse. And I don't think I'd want to be watching that on my way to work. That'd not set me up for a day of soul-crushing boredom in the office. I'd be... What does he do? What does your gentleman friend do?
He's in banking.
Oh, good Lord. Then no, he shouldn't be watching that kind of thing on the way
Gives
in.
him a few ideas, perhaps.
Flipping Nora.
I'm going to ask you a question, Scott.
I would love a drink. Yes, please.
The question
double,
is
please.
you've
Gin
got plenty.
for
You've got
preference.
blooming 2 pots going.
I've only got one left now. I've drunk one.
Not 2 pots of gin, but
No,
2
that would
pots
be
of
nice.
tea.
Oh, mother.
The question is, who said this?
Great Scott!
Who said?
Great Scott!
Any ideas?
Everyone
Great Scott.
who's ever met me.
I knew you were going to do that.
Great Scott!
If you know the answer, at home, abroad, around the world, tweet us at ELR Comfortably and use the Facebook page .com/ELR Comfortably. Who said?
Great Scott!
We'll reveal the answer later on in the show. Well, no, okay, we were talking about music in university and how the only type of classical music people are really listening to these days regularly, who are young, is movie music. And you get so much of the stuff. It's out, you've got new stuff out every week on this show. You've got more than that too, because of all just think of the amount of movies that are coming out. You need soundtracks for them, which is why, I can't be dealing with listening to Britney Spears or Drake's latest ridiculous music video where he's doing that weird dance in the colourful rooms.
You already know more about it than I do.
No, but I mean, at least, you've got new stuff out all the time. Whereas if you want a new album from
Brahms.
from
Brahms.
Brahms,
Mozart.
Brahms,
Mozart.
yeah, well, any of these. I was going to use more contemporary people, but
Tchaikovsky.
because sometimes bands, like actual rock bands, or whatever, they take years to release an album. Whereas I get new stuff from Michael Giacchino pretty much constantly.
Giacchinoing you.
Giacchinoing me. Yes,
Ah.
keep your ears peeled for that one. We are asking the question throughout the rest of the show. Who said?
Great Scott!
Who said?
Great Scott!
If you know the answer, tweet us at ELR Comfortably. I think it's probably time, though, for me to give you 30 seconds worth of what Crimson Peak is all about.
Are you ready?
So that woman from Alice in Wonderland gets lost in another kind of creepy place. It's kind of a house Tom Hiddleston owns, and he lives there with his perhaps girlfriend, perhaps sister, perhaps we're not sure. She's a bit creepy. Anyway, this lady sees lots of ghosts that are kind of floaty, weird, kind of oily things, and they are trying to give her a message, but she doesn't really figure that out until the end. It's all a bit of a mishmash, but she manages to suss it out and have a bit of a revelation in the basement. Oh, that was awful.
Not your best.
No, but I mean, what else is there to say?
You could say the same about the film. It's not.
What is it about?
I think you got it. Yeah, it's like this girl.
Do you want to have a go?
No.
No. You don't want 30 seconds?
I'm not prepared. Let's
just see what falls out your face.
All right.
Any minute now. No. What's going on?
Oh no. It's been decided that I'm not to have... Oh, bum. All right, so yeah, that girl is living with her husband, and she falls in love at first sight with a guy played by Tiddles, which is my name for Tom Hiddleston, because he's lovely. And he's a bit creepy, and he needs money, and then the dad dies mysteriously, and all the money goes to her, and she marries him and moves to his house in the middle of nowhere. Her mum pops up near the beginning for a bit of a warning, because after she's died, which is fun. And then lots of other spooky stuff happens.
You sound just as sort of as though you're having as much difficulty as me. I did forget the whole thing about the money because he needs to fund his special
weird
machine,
red clay thing.
Yeah.
I to be honest, I think, was it you that came out of that movie and said to me, "What was that all about?" Really?
Well, it did seem kind of unnecessary.
It was very, very strange.
And I don't think that even in a world where you're suspending your disbelief, that kind of thing is worthwhile. This couple who've been living in this house for however long have been, excuse me,
Yeah, that's the spoiler horn. It's difficult because it's a mystery. So not a mystery, but it's all.
But to be honest, what were you confused? I mean, we've all seen Game of Thrones and incestuous relationships, so that's kind of like a thing now, and it doesn't take us too much by surprise.
No.
So that was one of the first things, and we've all seen EastEnders. That's happened plenty of times. Sharon and Den and all the rest. Well, that wasn't really incestuous, actually. That was just because... anyway, watch EastEnders.
No, I don't want to.
No, but so that was one of the first things that came into my head. I thought, well, they're obviously brother and sister caught up in some twisted Del Toro-esque atmosphere, and this is an attempt to creep us out.
Yeah, I can see that, and I think it was... I was expecting more.
Did Mia?
I was expecting more.
Did Mia Wasikowska?
That's exactly how you pronounce it. Yeah.
Edith. Was she very convincing for you? Because I couldn't really put my finger on what it was that she wasn't drawing me in, rather. And it was because I was remembering her in Alice in Wonderland, which was also really naff.
I think.
And I was just thinking she was doing the same thing. She was just walking about like Alice in Wonderland, but
was Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah, exactly. And visually, there's a lot of similarities between what Del Toro's doing here and what Tim Burton likes to do as well.
Well, I think Del Toro goes a lot further with it, but we'll come back to that in a second.
Well, at least he spares us another outing for Johnny Depp in makeup.
Anyway, Mia. She does that kind of waifish, vague, floating around kind of thing.
Yes.
Quite well. And, she got a bit tougher towards the end.
But
at the same time, not hugely. I know where you're going from. And none of the characters in this really drew me in. I think the problem with me, for me with her, was that she never at any point just kind of went, what the flip is going on?
No, it's true.
She just kind of got washed up in everything and,
it has
and
to
just
happen
went
with
along.
these kind of movies. And ghosts were so normal to these people.
Yeah, it's like...
with the scary mum at the beginning, why was her mum a scary ghost when she was trying to deliver a warning? All the ghosts in the house should have been scary. Her mum should have been a nice ghost. Therefore, it would have been scary for her, even though she was familiar with ghosts, to have encountered a ghost that was spooky, who had suffered some sort of traumatic death.
If you're going to have... Yeah, exactly. If you're going to have creepy ghosts,
yeah,
don't give us the big... creepy ghost beginning, because then everything after that is a bit of a letdown. Also, her mum's a dick for this film. My daughter's gonna get in trouble in the future. I've seen this because I'm a ghost and that's how it works. Shut up. All right, fine. I'm gonna go back in time to just after I've died and warn her in my spookiest, scariest, ghosty way, rattling doors and moving things around and scaring the pants off of her.
And generally looking like a female Grim Reaper.
Exactly. And then I'm going to give her a warning that is of no use to her whatsoever until very far down the line. She could have, because her warning was, beware the Crimson Peak.
Yes.
Not useful.
It could have that's not what the house is called.
No, it's just the nickname for the house.
Yes.
So she's been there a month before she finds out that the nickname for the house is
She could have
Crimson
given her the
Peak.
postcode or something.
Yeah, it just, don't marry English people. Would have been enough. But no, just stay away from Tom Hiddleston. He's got a lovely bum, but he is a bit weird.
Which we get to see.
Oh, yes,
Would you have rather have seen Benedict Cumberbatch's bottom? He was supposed to be Tom Hiddleston.
Really? What?
As not playing Tom Hiddleston. He was supposed to be doing it before.
Oh, I
as
see.
in literally in that particular scene.
No, I think Tiddles did it quite well. I'm a big fan of...
But he was just very Tiddles.
Well, I know.
He was just doing Tiddles.
Well, then Bendy Back Cucumber Patch does just as him. I mean, they both have their style. I think there's a difference in Tom Hiddleston when he's doing Loki, for example, and when he did there was a wartime one he did that was all dramatic love story type thing, and I can't remember the name of it. And he was very different in that, obviously, because he was very stiff and very proper and very English.
So is Loki.
Loki's not stiff and English.
For the first time in my life.
Yeah, he's from Asgard. That's not just off the M4 next to Birmingham.
No, but he's still just an English bloke, isn't he?
No,
in some fancy armour.
No, good lord.
I think you just fancy him a bit too much.
I do fancy him a bit. Yeah, I am a little bit of a Hiddlestoner.
Why didn't Edith's father appear as a ghost?
Oh, there is that as well?
Yes, because he was killed, but he was the only one who didn't appear as a ghostly apparition.
True.
And why did all the ghosts look like when you masturbate in the bath?
If anything that comes out of you, in a bath or otherwise, looks like any of those things, those ghosts in that movie, you need to see a doctor now, or possibly a priest. Either way, I don't think you should wait till the end of the show. I think you should go now. I'll put some music on and I'll talk about the tea I'm drinking. For
you
20
know what
minutes.
I mean, don't you? They all looked a bit sort of floaty, like.
Well, they're ghosts. They don't have any kind of physical. I think the ghosts were very strange, though. It's like one of them was just hanging out in a field as though like they couldn't afford a scarecrow.
But I really think they would have been visually more terrifying if they hadn't have had the stupid floaty blood coming off of them. It made them look like some kind of sci-fi creature rather than an actual sort of like ghost or potential walking undead. You know, that was creepy. We had a silhouetted kind of almost zombie-like ghost in the corridor. Scary for a moment until he saw the CGI sort of blood flames coming off his head. It's very B-movie.
It's meant to be spectral rather than blood flames. I think it's meant to be like that they're not physical, they're non-corporeal, so they're all kind of floaty. But I get your point. It was a bit. It looked pretty.
It's a bit spunky.
Yeah. Well, all right. Fine. What was I? There was he likes his facial damage, does Del Toro, doesn't he? Like one of the main scene from.
We can't go from what we were talking about just then to talking about facials.
Well, we're gonna. I've done that. I've taken us there. I like, of course, his most famous work being Pan's Labyrinth, where the guy
which was very good.
Yeah, but the standout scene is where the guy gets his face mashed in by a wine bottle.
Yes, that I wasn't expecting that at all.
And then in this one, her dad, spoiler alert, dies. We know that. At the end of the first act, he gets his face mashed in on the edge of a sink.
Yes, but then also later on we get a bit of extra face damage.
We
don't
do.
We,
Let's not.
But
yeah, it's there.
It's there.
And I think I don't know whether I was kind of pleased actually with the father's death because he's at the sink with a cutthroat razor about to have a shave.
Oh, and you think you know where this is going.
And you see him put the razor down on the edge of the bath and then wander off to investigate a strange noise.
Spunky ghost in the vicinity.
He's in a men's toilet room
toilet
room, as in where they go to toilet rather than where they just go to the toilet. That's where they shave and where they make themselves nice, essentially.
Right. Over the pan.
No.
You make it. It's a bathroom.
Yes, but it's a room in which they would bathe. It's like in a club somewhere. It's not just like a toilet and a sink. It's like there was a steam room and other stuff.
Yes, he even had the gentleman handing out Chupa Chups, didn't he?
Exactly. Yes, and all of those kind of sprays they have. Yeah, and putting the music on and stuff. I've forgotten where I was going with this, but yeah, you see him put the cutthroat razor down.
Yes,
and I was very much expecting him to get his throat cut, and he didn't. He got his head smashed in instead, which was a nice change.
Yes, it was very exciting. But you flinched actually. I remember.
I did.
It was pretty nasty.
You didn't see because I kind of leant on the edge of my chair with my hand pressed against something, but I actually had my eyes closed until all of the face smashy noises stopped.
It took me back to when we're watching Drive. Sorry, we didn't watch it together, but when I was watching, did you see Drive with Ryan Gosling?
No.
Well, at one point he pretty aggressively stamps on a man's head, and we get to see it all.
No, I've been burned by that.
I just felt like I was uncomfortable anyway. I didn't need that, you know.
No, Malcolm X did that for me. Curb stomping.
Oh no, no. But do you think?
It's making me cringe just thinking about it.
Do you think these kind of things have a place in movies?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
or is it just gratuitous?
Well, do you know, if we're going to get political on this for a moment, it's interesting how. I mean, it was a 15 the movie we watched, wasn't it? 15 certificate. Yeah, for all of that violence and dead people and stuff.
Yes, and to be honest, if we were watching that, say, 15 years ago, for example, I reckon it'd be an 18.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But more, what I was going to say was that was a 15. Had there been, for all of that violence and stuff, it would have got the same classification if there'd been a guy-on-guy kiss. It would
unbelievable.
There's all this violence and that. It seems much more palatable that people can watch all this violence and face stomping and all this kind of thing rather than two men in love going at it, or even just two men in love. I mean, I like it when they go at it.
But it wasn't just face smashing; it was also Tom Hiddleston's bottom. Are you telling me that if all the face smashing was removed and Tom Hiddleston's bottom was featured in action,
I would like that movie. I would like Tom Hiddleston's bottom on screen for 2 hours.
But if he was doing getting his bottom out with a gentleman, it would still be the same age rating, even if everything else was just running and dancing and prancing through fields.
I would be very surprised if it was anything less.
Unbelievable.
I know, right? And while we're talking about lovely bottoms, I think we should also mention Charlie Hunnam, who plays the Doctor in this. He was also...
What? You think he has a lovely bottom?
He was wearing some very tight breeches. He didn't get it out, but his breeches were lovely and snug. And he played a lovely bottom in Queer as Folk back in the day as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Did you not watch Queer as Folk?
No, neither of them. I really should probably do that one day.
Oh, yeah.
It's just another one to add to my list.
Some seminal, if you'll excuse the word,
Dear me.
gay history type stuff there.
Yes. What I found more controversial, though, than the face smashing, I must say, is the man on his phone.
Yes. Oh, go on. I know you've been holding on to this since Wednesday. So
he was on his phone the whole way through, just having some sort of big text argument you can see. Like, just stick it on airplane mode and enjoy the movie. What's the point in coming in and paying the price for an unlimited card or a ticket or whatever it is you're doing? And if there's no other choice than for you to have a text conversation all the way through the movie, have it at the back row, or turn your screen brightness down. You're in a dark room. You don't need that glaring in your face like you're at the dentist's, do you?
I agree.
Anyway.
Also, he had a neck beard.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, loved it.
One that I haven't seen all the way through.
Oh.
But it's one of those films that I've seen probably 95% of in all the wrong order.
Is this because it's one of those films that either you or a gentleman caller puts on when you go round for Netflix and chill, as the kids are calling it nowadays? When I was younger, it was DVD and a bottle of wine, but now it's Netflix and chill.
No, I think it's also sort of the kind of thing that was put on during wet play at school.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it'd be on in the corner and you'd watch a bit and then you'd faff off and play with a sand bucket or whatever it is.
You went to a very strange school. But
that's what happened at wet play. It was chaos.
Nightmare Before Christmas, meaning Halloween, which is...
in a bit.
Weekend. Yes, very soon.
Next week you want to talk about something on Netflix once more. It's lesbian. No. I mean, sorry.
Lesbian? Vampires.
Do you know what I was thinking?
No. Which is usually the case, I know, but especially not right now.
You were saying vampire movie, and I was thinking, I've never seen that awful-looking movie, Lesbian Vampire Killers.
No,
but the idea was to keep that firmly in my head, and instead it came out my face. So, how about you watch that, and I'll watch...
Lesbian Vampire Killers. All right, yes. Also released on Netflix very recently was What We Do in the Shadows. A hilarious... It's very funny vampire movie set in New Zealand. It's very fun. It's very silly. It's Halloween-y, so we'll talk about it more next week.
But also next week, our main feature is inevitably going to be... one of the most exciting releases of the entire year. And it's the same year as Jurassic World and Star Wars.
It's not going to be very good.
Now, stop being so pessimistic. It's James Bond.
It is James Bond. Bless him.
And even Quantum of Solace was enjoyable. So
I did not enjoy Quantum of Sausage. I got lost halfway through and couldn't really enjoy it.
It was only an hour and a half long.
I know. And that was too long. It was. I just kind of eventually I just kind of gave up and let it happen.
What, Quantum? You just laid back and let it ravage you.
Yeah, wash over me. Oh dear, that's a horrible thought, isn't it? But yes, anyway, next week is Spectre and a little bit of Halloween-y, vampire-y stuff. Any recommendations for Halloween movies?
Well, you know what I'm going to say.
I do know what you're going to say, but
I'm going to say Saw. And you have to watch Saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then really, really enjoy Saw 6 because it's such good payoff for everything you've just sat through. And whatever you do, please don't watch Saw 3D because it really just ruins.
And by then...
I was trying to think of a nice way of putting it, but there isn't really. It's awful.
And by then, it'll be Halloween again if you watch all of them back to back.
No, but Saw 6 really is formidable. I've never been white knuckle in the cinema.
Well, good luck. Neither have I. I've never met the right man, obviously.
Since that movie, I was on the edge of my seat.
Ooh.
I think it's because I invested a lot in the characters. People think I like seeing people's jaws ripped open, but it really isn't the case. I thought the characters were really very intriguing.
Well, that's good to know. So
yes, we've been asking the question: Who said?
Great Scott!
Who said?
Great Scott!
Ah, you know, Scott.
I do know, and it is great. Could this have anything to do with Wednesday that's just gone?
Oh, the Back to the Future day.
Yeah, that's the day. Could this be Doc Emmett Brown?
It is.
Great Scott! Jennifer could conceivably encounter her future self The consequences of that could be disastrous.
Doc, what do you mean?
I foresee two possibilities. One, coming face to face with herself 30 years older would put her into shock and she'd simply pass out. Or two, the encounter could create a time paradox, the results of which could cause a chain reaction that would unravel the very fabric of the space-time continuum and destroy the entire universe. Granted, that's a worst-case scenario.
I loved Back to the Future, and I didn't think I would, but it's just one of those ones that kind of takes you by surprise.
It's a fantastic film. Slightly ruined by all of the marketing companies that tried to jump on the back of Back to the Future Day on Wednesday.
I know,
but
right? It's like,
still.
because Back to the Future came at a time when it was kind of, you were bullied for being a geek, weren't you? Now
Yeah,
suddenly
the 80s.
everybody reveals that they loved it.
Yeah.
So, but still, I strongly suggest if you don't want to watch Saw 6 or the...
What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes, you should watch Back to the Future and just have a laugh.
You should watch Back to the Future whenever.
Yeah.
It's a great film. Maybe don't watch 1, 2, and 3 next to each other because they get slightly ropier as they go on.
Yeah. Well, isn't number 2 just him reaching for a magazine for about half an hour?
No. Oh, yeah, actually, kind of. Yeah, I see why you think that. Although, have a look at that and see if you can see any startling similarities between Biff in Back to the Future 2 and Donald Trump, because they're it's scarily, weirdly close.
And on that note, we've got a message to say goodbye from Doc Brown. Until next week, for another episode of Are You Sitting Comfortably?
Are we saying bye?
Yes, goodbye.
Oh, goodbye. See you next week.
The future has finally arrived. Yes, it is different than we all thought. But don't worry. It just means your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has. Your future is whatever you make it. So make it a good one.
Join us next week for another thrilling episode of Are You Sitting Comfortably?